Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to be talking about signatures and what they are, how to make one, and why they're useful, why you would want to have them in your reports and in your application. Let's start by defining a signature. A signature is a representation of similar data across disparate machines. What does that mean? Well, it's a lookup name. It's a second name. It's another way of getting at the actual data you want without having to know the exact name of the data point on the machine you're looking for. I'll explain. Here are our signatures here. These are some of the ones that would come with your StatusWatch installation, and to get here I clicked on the signatures folder over here in the folder tree. Now let's put together a hypothetical. I have two machines that are of importance to me and I'm making reports for them. One of them is a drill and one of them is a lathe. The drill, when it is actively doing what it is supposed to be doing, what it was designed to be doing, it's drilling. It's drilling holes in metal or wood or whatever it is that I manufacture and manipulate in my particular facility. And over on the lathe, when it is actively doing its primary task, it's cutting. The main spindle is running and there's some tool in contact with whatever's being lathed or cut or whatever. Well, both of those things represent the active state of their machine. If I wanted to make a report and say show me cutting, and I point to the cutting data point on the lathe, if I then take that report and try and point it at the drill, well, there is no cutting on a drill. A drill doesn't cut, at least not in the way that a lathe cuts. It drills. So how do I remedy that? How do I make it so I don't have to make an entirely new report or edit the report every time I want to run it for a different machine? Well, that's what a signature does for us. So let's build a quick signature to remedy that very problem. I'm going to create a new signature and I'm going to call it active state. It'll think for a moment, and then I need to assign it a data type, and you'll remember data types from a previous video about just that. For this one, continuous Boolean is exactly what we already want, and that's the default here. I could choose from a short list of other options, but in this scenario, a continuous Boolean is exactly what I want, and so I'll leave it like that. It's always either actively doing its active state or it's not actively doing its active function, cutting or drilling or whatever it's doing. Every machine is always either doing it or not. So we'll leave it just like that. And there it is. It shows up here, active state. Now let's go over to some machines and we're going to tie those in. I'm going to go into my station 1, which I'm going to say is my lathe. And here's a data point called cutting. This would be active every time the lathe is actively main spindle turning and then tools in contact with whatever it is I'm tearing up. So let's modify this data point and we're going to tie in the signature. Active state. Drag it over there and save. Just like that, now when I tell my report to go look up the active state signature and run it for a particular machine, this one, it'll go find the cutting data point because that's what's tied to the active state signature, and it'll put cutting on the report in that particular bar or line or however I've set up the report. Now we'll go over to the next station and let's say this is a drill. Here's my drilling data point. I'm going to modify that and similarly tie in my active state data point and save. Just like that, drilling is tied to the active state when it's looking at station 2, which is a drill, and cutting is tied to the active state signature on station number 1, which was a lathe. So now my report, when I go put the active state signature on the report as one of the chart elements, I've made that section of the report machine agnostic. It doesn't matter which of those two machines I run this for. I don't need to make any edits to the report. All I need to do is say run it for station 1 or instead run it for station 2. And it will know to go get the appropriate data. A signature represents, remember our definition, similar data across disparate machines. Drilling and cutting are the same basic activity on each of these machines. They're the active state. They're the thing that the machine was designed to do. But they're called something different on each machine, and in this way, using a signature, we can make note of what those things are and give them a second name to be looked up without having to tear apart our report every time or make things really difficult for us, have to have duplicate reports, one for every machine. That's really all there is to signatures. Thanks for your attention. We'll see you in the next video.